Hey everyone, Thomas here, and I just want to preface that this episode had a ton of technical difficulties, so the audio might sound a little weird. I should be getting a new microphone sometime soon. Till then, hope you enjoy the episode. Catch you later. Hello everyone, welcome to the Charge Shot Gamescast. Each and every week, friends from YouTube and Twitch gather around and talk about the news in gaming. Here we have with us today, like always, Justin.
Hey there, everyone.
And Lo.
Hey, everybody.
And special guest with us today, Ray.
Hey, what up, guys?
But before we get into the topics of news, let's discuss what's been going on in our lives. We actually had a really cool snowstorm yesterday, driving home at like 50 kilometers an hour. I don't know what translates to miles. You silly Americans.
You were driving home at 50 kilometers an hour, or the snow was coming at 50 kilometers an hour?
I was driving at 50. I usually go like 80.
Oh, okay. That sounds so fast.
It really does, though.
Yeah, I also got some cool new speakers for my setup. I was playing Abzu yesterday. Had the really cool water effects. I had to drive my dad to the hospital for he had like high levels of potassium, they thought, the lab for his health. So I drove him there. He was fine though.
I've never heard of anyone having too much potassium.
Oh yeah.
'Cause usually they're like, your potassium's low, eat a banana. Is your dad a monkey?
Oh, if only. No, I think it's like people that have kidney problems or something with their liver or something like that. It's not filtering properly. Too much potassium can screw that up.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. I don't understand the human body.
No one does. These doctors don't know what they're doing. So everyone else is just having an average week this week.
Yeah. Pretty much same old for me. I'm just getting ready for my trip next weekend. I'll be leaving Saturday. I'll be leaving on a jet plane, all that good stuff. Yeah, other than that, that's pretty much it. I got our quick shot video up. That was interesting. I don't know, that's pretty much the coolest thing I've done this week.
Yeah, talk about that. Self-promote.
Oh, okay. We have a quick shot video, a new quick shot video. It is us, by us I mean Justin and myself, discussing and playing a little bit of Path of Exile. It is a Diablo-inspired action RPG, sort of dark fantasy hack and slash type of game. Really fun, a lot of fun to play. It's free to play also. And yeah, check it out.
Yeah, if you don't already have the website or, /Patreon link saved anywhere, it's also on our YouTube channel. So go, check that out, subscribe and whatnot.
So Ray, what's been going on?
With what's going on? Pretty much a lot of moving stuff, finishing touches and stuff. Work, been kind of busy. It being close to Valentine's Day and all, and then holiday, President's Day coming up.
You guys are throwing a holiday for Donald Trump?
Unfortunately.
Past President's Day. They changed the name.
Yeah, past presidents. Yeah, past presidents. I like that.
We're changing it to Poncho Day, make it all about George W. Bush.
Just call it W Day.
Yeah.
W.
Yeah, right.
But before we get into video games, let me just tell you all about Patreon. Patreon is a service that helps us create this podcast and our video content on our website, chargeshot.com. Like what we do, you can support us on patreon.com/chargeshot. You get amazing perks like early access to shows, videos, giveaways, and so much more. If you have no money to spare, no problem. Just support our podcast on iTunes or Stitcher and give a 5-star rating. Share the podcast, share the love. All right, everyone. What have you been playing? Lo, have you been playing anything new recently or not?
Actually, well, I haven't actually played it yet, but a friend actually gave me Fallout New Vegas with a bunch of DLC and stuff too. So it's been a little weird getting it to work for some reason. I guess it came before Skyrim, and as far as like the engine and everything, it's not very well optimized. So getting it to work is a little interesting, but once I do get it working, yeah, it seems like it's going to be a pretty fun game. I've never actually played the Fallout series at all before, too.
Really?
So, yeah.
Wow.
I've heard a lot of good things. I've just always been so into like Elder Scrolls and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to get into this and see what kind of stuff it has to offer.
New Vegas is definitely my favorite one.
Yeah.
It has the biggest emphasis on like the ethics system, with like 4 different factions that you like the choices you make kind of affect your standing with each faction. Instead of just like a, good versus evil thing. Like, it's actually like, you do a quest for one group, and it might hurt your relationship with like the other three. So like if it gets down to a certain point, and like you go to like one of the strongholds of that other faction, they'll like attack you on sight because they know that you're aligned with one of the other ones. So it's kind of cool. Like the choices you make actually affect like what towns and stuff you can go to, and what quest lines you can get and stuff like that. So it feels more like the classic Fallouts rather than like, especially Fallout 4, which is just kind of a shooter game with light Fallout elements. But a lot of people like Fallout 3 more. I just think that it's kind of... I mean, it's the one that set the tone for New Vegas, for sure. But I think it's a little more simplified as far as like the, good versus evil type stuff. And the choices you make are a little more like, just do this or do that. Like, they don't really have as much effect on the world. And I think it'll be extra fun for you because, like, Vegas. Like, that area of Nevada. So I think it'll be kind of cool to see all of that stuff, like apocalyptized.
Post-apocalyptic.
There you go.
And when you get to the strip and everything, that would be pretty cool. See what you think of it.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to playing it, for sure.
You planning on putting on any mods there?
I haven't put any mods yet. One of my same buddy that gifted the game to me, he suggested like some performance type of mods, so that's really the only thing I'm going to be adding right now. I kind of wanted to play the game in sort of like its kind of base vanilla form before I start modding it, because I know as soon as I start modding, I'm never going to go back to the original version of the game.
I would recommend like some graphic mods and stuff though, because it's an older game. I think it was still running on like the Games for Windows platform. So, you could probably add some more kind of like
texture
mods, some lighting effects and stuff to it, just to kind of bring it up, make it look a little better. But I think that game actually is one of them that has like some full like mod add-ons, like a new region you can go to with like custom quests and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure people have actually made like new content, unofficial expansions kind of. So that could be something to check out after you beat the game.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm just gonna guess Justin's game. Final Fantasy VI.
I mean, yes, but hey.
Welcome to the Charge Shot Final Fantasy VI corner featuring Justin.
There's more to it than that. Actually, most of my time this week was spent like getting the script together for Final Fantasy VI. I'm like right at the end. I haven't beaten it yet, but I'm kind of to the point where like I wanted to get all the script stuff together because the end doesn't really change that much. There's not like I've been writing in entire side quests that weren't in the script, so that's taken a lot of time. But
oh wow.
I did do a stream last Saturday with my fiance of Yoshi's Woolly World, which was a lot of fun. We finally got to a part in the game where Poochie comes in, and he's adorable. Like, Wooly Poochie is my favorite.
I saw you, like, run out and buy a Poochie.
We did that. But, no, like, there's I think it's a new addition to the game since they made the 3DS version. But, like, he's in a few levels anyway. But like in this edition, like you actually can use him like as a badge in the game. So like you can spend like whatever the currency is in the game to have Poochie be your companion in the level. And so like it just the last thing we did before we ended the stream was do a level with Poochie as a companion. But we didn't realize going in that the level was mostly like in the air. You're like climbing like the like these knitted walls basically, kind of like the grates in Super Mario World. Like you climb them and then jump from one to one.
Yeah.
And so we had Poochie in this level, so he would run across the platform, jump over the holes, and then fall because he can't climb the walls or anything. So it was this constant thing of like climbing along these like knitted walls, and Poochie would jump at the screen and fall in a hole. And then jump at the screen and fall in the hole. And then jump. So he just kept killing himself and like jumping it back into the level, but he couldn't land on anything, so he'd just fall over and over again. So it's just a level full of Poochie murder, and it was my favorite thing. So yeah, and then after we finished the stream, like I immediately looked on Amazon to see if the amiibo of him was available, and he was, so we got him. But he matches the Woolly Yoshi amiibo we have really well. He's really not used for much. Like, he's used in the actual Yoshi's Woolly World game, and I think he's used a little bit more in the 3DS version. But he's cute, so whatever.
Yeah.
And we had some Amazon credit already, so it wasn't that big a deal. But yeah, I played that again for the first time in a while. And then I installed Fire Emblem Heroes finally to give that a try, and haven't gotten to play it very much because you install the game and then boot it up, and it has to do like an 80 meg download after you've already installed the game.
Oh.
So I was at work and the Wi-Fi there sucks, so I couldn't really it took forever just to download the 80 megabyte patch. And then I loaded up the game, did the tutorial stuff, and then after teaching you how to play the game, it does a 300 meg install. I guess what I assume is the rest of the game, which is kind of annoying.
Just let me download the damn game.
Right, just do it all at the start. It downloaded really quickly. I'm like, oh, cool, okay. And then, I spent another... basically the rest of my work shift was waiting for that to download. So I've played a few missions. It's pretty fun. I haven't really done, the gachapon, is that what it's called? Mechanic very much. Because I'm trying to stockpile up all my crystals. Because I heard that, or gems or whatever they're called. I heard that, when you're in the screen, it's, 5 for the first hero, and then, 4, 4, 4, and then, the rest are 3. But once you leave the screen, I guess it resets everything back to 5. So you're kind of encouraged to, get, a bunch of reds in a row, or a bunch of blues in a row, things like that, when you have your crystals, so you're not spending as much. But in general, I don't really like the monetization of that. You get, a crystal after every mission, so it's not that big a deal. But basically, like I said, the one hero, the first time you get it, is 5 crystals, or whatever they're called. And it's, $2 for 3, I think. So essentially, you have to spend, $4 per hero if you don't have any. But then you get 6. So it's the actual currency to buy them is 5, but it's $2 per 3. So it's a really weird system. It should either be maybe $3 for 5, which I still think is high. But if they're gonna go that route, do $3 for 5, $5 for 10, something like that, where you can actually get a full hero, rather than spending money to get nothing, essentially, unless you already have somebody who's trying to make up the difference. But it's kind of sleazy. But the game is relatively generous in the beginning, at least, and you have plenty of energy where, you can do multiple quests in a row and not run out. So, I mean, you could probably stockpile quite a few crystals before you'd actually have to pay anything. And it is a free-to-play game, so I get it. But I'm just saying the way they monetize is a little sleazy. If you pay money, you should get something for that money, in my opinion.
Right.
Yeah. That's the number one thing I hear about that game, is that the free-to-play model kind of sucks for the Fire Emblem game.
Yeah. But it is fun, and I mean, graphically it's very nice. I realized I haven't said anything about the game yet, just complaining. But graphically it's very nice. I really like the visual of it. It starts out with a really beautifully animated cutscene that I did not expect. It's basically the announcement trailer for the game, but it looks really nice in-game. I mean, I've got a 2K screen on my phone, so obviously everything looks really good anyway. But it's kind of the the nice landscape mode. All the sprites are very well drawn and animated, and the battles play out very similar to the actual handheld Fire Emblem games. It's just kind of a more simplified version. Fewer characters, smaller screen. A lot of times it feels like they take more damage just because you can generally kill people in one or 2 hits, so it's not the battles take forever. And the scenes between are maybe 1 to 2 minutes of just kind of tapping through the dialogue boxes, rather than a full here's the life story of these characters played out between the missions. It's a lot more streamlined. But I'm also not a huge Fire Emblem fan, so I don't really get into that. I kind of just played it to be able to talk about it on here, honestly. But yeah, it's fun. If you like Fire Emblem, it's more of that, just for free on mobile. And a simplified version.
I've also downloaded that game. I just haven't played it at all.
Good start.
Instead, I've been playing WWE Champions.
It's like a puzzle quest type game, right?
Yeah, it's like a puzzle quest type game. It does the same thing. When you download it, you have to download a download to play it. The actual game mechanics itself is actually pretty cool. It's like a match 3, but you're taking turns between each character, and you're doing wrestling moves in the ring. You build up meters to produce finishers or signature moves. The best part about this game is the community. There's a global chat option for this game. I went in there today to see what it was like, and it's kind of tempered down. But I was there on Super Bowl Sunday, and the chat was just filled with spam, like swearing spam, joiner faction spam, hello spam, complaining about money, and people trying to pick up chicks. Like, there was actual flirting going on in the game between people.
That's really funny.
Oh my god. And then I saw again, someone was saying that like they were boning their sister, and if anyone wanted to join, just send me a text message, and they left their number.
Stereotypical wrestling fans.
It's so bad. Oh, but
That's gross.
Good old community.
So yeah, it was like I went in there
Good
thinking
old
it's not like
community.
that right now, but maybe it'll pop its head again. But that was the most fun I've ever had with this game, was checking out what the hell was going on with these people.
That sounds like a review for the game. Game sucks, but community's great. 10 out of 10.
Like I said before at the top of the show, I was playing Abzu, and Abzu is it's a real fun, like, chill Journey. Have you guys played Journey before?
A little bit. I don't really like it.
No, not your style. Yeah, it's kind of just like an underwater journey where you're just going from one locale to the next. There's not too much of a challenge there. There's a couple puzzles, like you have to activate one thing to activate another thing, and you're just trying to find it. It's super chill. You can go to these shark statues and just meditate there and look at all the different fish, and you can like zoom to each fish. I wish the zooming worked better. I'm like a nut for that kind of stuff, like underwater marine biology. So yeah, I'm a sucker for that kind of thing. And it gets into really cool stuff, like you can communicate with a giant squid, and you could swim with the dolphins and swim with the whales. Just really nice and chill.
Very cool.
So it's an aquarium simulator.
Absolutely. And I love it. So Ray, what have you been playing?
Well, I've dabbled a bit in Final Fantasy 15. I just finished all the fishing side missions.
More fish.
But after that, I kind of stopped. I rehooked up the Nintendo 64 I got and started playing Killer Instinct Gold again.
Oh, nice.
So that's fun.
Nice.
Classic.
Oh yeah, and I still suck at it.
Were you a dinosaur?
No, I was more of Saberwolf type of guy.
I only know that game because of the fighting dinosaur.
Yeah, I'd heard of it, but I'd never played it before. And then it was at one of the, like, a local arcade. It's like, oh, I gotta check this out. And yeah, if you don't know what you're doing in that game, it's like just a coin eater.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I got burnt out so quickly.
It's a strong, influential combo game. With the most random cast of characters ever. There's like maybe 5 or 6 humans, then there's an alien, a robot, a dinosaur, a werewolf. Final boss in the second one is a gargoyle. The first one is like a 2-headed cyclops. So random, but it's fun.
But each head has one eye, right?
Yeah.
I've got the new one, the Xbox one that's free to play. I've got it on, like, Xbox for Windows or whatever it's called, the PC thing. But I've never played it. I should check that out sometime.
Yeah.
It's like 2 characters in the free version, but if it's cool enough, I'd pay for, the whole content now that it's like a super fleshed out game.
Oh, definitely. Even after when they did the first season of DLC and all that, it was definitely worth the $15 just to get the season pass. And then after you bought,
And now like every character they've added is free, isn't it?
exactly, because the last one was like Zit from Battletoads. I want to say.
Oh,
Oh,
wow,
nice.
that's cool.
Yeah, he was the last added DLC. So if Microsoft pursues making another Killer Instinct for the console, I would say they should do it, and then just get like Master Chief or somebody from the Microsoft universe to like be an exclusive character.
Yeah, I forgot to mention earlier. I wanted to make sure everyone else got through. It's not a video game, but at the Super Bowl, my friends and I were playing $1 Million Butt, which is not like BUTT. It's BUT ... It's the Rooster Teeth card game.
I was going to ask if that was Rooster Teeth, yeah.
Yeah, it's actually really fun. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen the video series they do on it, which is basically they just give out like a random scenario. Like, you get $1 million, but you have to do this every time this happens. And like they actually act out the scenarios, and like it's really funny. And they turned that into a card game that anyone can play. It's kind of like a Cards Against Humanity type thing, where like you've got black cards and gold cards, and the black cards are the the $1 Million Butt scenarios, and the gold cards are the modifiers, like what you have to do. And so you kind of combine like, you know, a scenario and then like a modifier, and then your group kind of discusses like which one you would be willing to do or not do. There's different rules for $1 million, and whoever like put down the scenario that you choose gets the, you know, the card. So it's kind of just a different take on Cards Against Humanity with like a, you know, kind of a different type of discussion. But it's a lot of fun, and there's some really weird stuff in there.
Awesome. I've always heard about it. I've never played it myself.
I got it for Christmas. I'd recommend it. It's like $20 or something like that on the Rooster Teeth store. It's not bad.
Let's just get right into the news. Let's start with the showstopper. All right, everyone. Are you ready?
Yes.
I said, are you ready?
Yes.
Oh,
I don't know which one we're talking about, so yay!
Netflix announces Castlevania animated series.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's the showstopper? Okay.
Mhm.
I think that's the showstopper.
I think so,
I mean-
too.
Okay, well, anyway, the point is, Netflix announced a Castlevania animated show. It is going to be very R-rated, apparently. You know, they say the games are super mature, so they want the show to kind of follow that same level of maturity, which makes sense. It'd be weird to have like a kid-friendly Castlevania show. I don't know.
Yeah.
All the fans are older now anyways, right?
Yeah, exactly. But what I think is interesting is it's being made by Adi Shankar. I don't know how to say that name. Adi, whatever. He's Indian. It's a weird name. But he's it's true.
It is. I'll back you.
He's the one that wrote, I believe, and produced the new Judge Dredd movie that came out a few years ago.
Oh, really? That was
which is
him?
amazing.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
He's also done a bunch of shorts, like there was a Punisher short he did, and, you know, kind of these general, like, very hyper-violent, like, super, like, gritty, awesome things. And so I feel like this is kind of him finally getting his recognition, because Dredd was an amazing movie and no one watched it.
I watched it.
I watched it. That was very awesome.
Yeah, exactly. So if you haven't seen the new Dredd movie, watch it, because this is an example of his work, and he's awesome.
I'll definitely watch it.
But yeah, it's supposed to be following the story of Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse. I don't remember that game, so I'm not going to talk about the story unless any of you know it. It's basically following Trevor Belmont,
Yes.
and is the same story of every other Castlevania game, so I don't really need to go over
You
that.
kill Dracula. The end.
Yeah, exactly.
The ultimate
Go through Dracula's castle, kill him, repeat. With new...
With new
son
Belmonts.
Son of Belmont,
Yeah,
yes.
slightly new
Or
weapons.
occasionally others. Like I really like the Sorrow duo of games, because they don't follow a Belmont. I think that's really cool. Plus, they have really good mechanics to the games. But yeah, this is Castlevania 3. It's going to be a 4-part series, 30 minutes each episode. And he says, it hasn't been confirmed by Netflix, but he says there's already a second season in the works that will follow a different game. So I assume he's probably writing it and hoping it gets picked up, most likely. Because he's always working on something. I think that's pretty cool, actually. Like, I'm not a huge Castlevania fan, but I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think I've seen most of the games being played. I haven't finished them myself, but yeah, this sounds like an awesome series. I'm definitely gonna keep an eye out for it.
Not too many people are happy with, you know, the whole Konami thing after Kojima, but I'll give it a shot.
I was having this is kind of unrelated, but I was having a discussion with one of my friends about the new Bomberman game. Because I was like, I'll probably get that with the Switch just so I have something like multiplayer, you know, alongside Zelda. Like if I want to show off the system or something, I'm not going to like just start playing Zelda. Like I want to include them in a way. So I said I'd get the new Bomberman. And he says something like, but you'd be supporting Konami and they're dumb. And it's like, yeah, that's true. Like I get that, but it's also supporting Bomberman.
That's
like
true.
he hasn't had a good game in a while, and I want to support that series. And it just happens to be made by Konami. Like at a corporate level, they're dumb. Sure, like you know they got rid of Kojima, all that drama, everything. They really like their pachinko machines, whatever. I get it. Oh no, specifically what he said was if you support this game, it's gonna they're gonna want to make a pachinko version of it. Which again, I don't care. I don't play pachinko machines. I don't really care that they exist. It doesn't bother me as long as they keep also making games.
Right.
But like you have to think, you know, they have a relatively large studio. Like I want to support them because they're real people making those games.
Yeah.
They don't have any control over what their corporation is doing. So I mean, if this is something that makes Konami money and like, you know, keeps those people working, why would I boycott it? Like, that would be dumb.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're supporting the developer over the actual company in this case. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's supporting the Castlevania brand also. Like, the brands make money too. It's not just the corporations.
And maybe if this like pans out, like maybe they'll start making good games again, Like,
yeah. Right, exactly. You never know.
They might get one for the Switch. Yeah.
So yeah, cool stuff with Dracula. Let's kill him again. And again. Season 1 and 2. That's how it ends. Killing Dracula. Alright, let's move on over to Justin's showstopper of E3 being open to the public.
This is exciting news. Like, I've personally always wanted to go to E3. I know it sounds kind of silly, but
not at all.
Like, it's some, like, that's the convention I grew up with. Like, I've learned about all these others, like PAX and, even like, well, I knew about San Diego Comic-Con, but I didn't know about other Comic-Cons that I have gone to since, until, like, more recently. Like, E3 is something that, like, I've known since I was probably, like, 10 years old. Like, it's something I've been following my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always been this very exclusive, like, like, creator convention. Like, it's always closed off. It's very...
industry.
Like, private. Yeah, it's very industry. But it's going public for the first year. And I think that's really cool for two reasons. One, obviously, like, it's awesome that people can go and play these things. But also, it's a very, like... It's a changing market.
Mm-hmm.
When E3 started, it was basically a way for these developers and people to promote their games to the people that would have to buy them, like retailers, the big stuffy businessmen that would affect their stock, things like that. Like, it was very industry focused because they had to get the word out somehow.
When E3 first started, it was a spin-off from CES because there was so much video game stuff there that they made their own
convention. Yeah, exactly. And now, like, with the age of the internet, like, a lot of people have even been pulling out of E3 because they can just do their own digital presentation like Nintendo and not have to, spend all the money. Like, basically, it doesn't have as much effect on the investors because there's so many other conventions throughout the year, so many other things affecting their stock and all these, like, private investor meetups and things like that. Like, E3 just doesn't have the same impact on the industry as it used to. So I think it makes a lot of sense having it open to the public just as another... chance to show your game to the people, because a lot of times you're directly marketing your games to the people now. You're not going through any kind of third party or retailers or whatever. That's kind of goes back to the GameStop discussion of last week. Like, you don't have to convince GameStop to hold your game so that you can sell it. Like, people are just digitally downloading straight to the system. You have to market to the people. So I think this is really going to help E3, and I think it's going to bring a lot of the developers and companies that had kind of dropped off because it was costing them more money than it was making them. I think it's going to bring them back because they can at least have their games on display there and, be directly visible to the people. And that's really cool.
It's a good way to build hype too, like legitimate hype, I feel like, as opposed to just kind of having like a really cryptic advertisement or something like that. This way you're actually... promoting your game in like a physical event, in person with, the people who will be prospectively purchasing the game somewhere down the line. So I think that's pretty neat. I like how they, I like how they're opening this up to the public. I think it's a really great thing. Hopefully it's something that they'll keep going too.
I mean, it kind of depends on how well it does this year.
Yeah, they're opening it up to 15,000 more people.
Nice.
Compared to last year.
Going back to Zero's point, it does bring butts into seats. And it gives the general public, the purchasing public, an idea. And it gives, I think, in my opinion, it gives developers a better perspective. So it's not just the yes men that work for the company that agree with them at these conventions, at the panels. They're just like, oh, I like this game too. You should like it too because I'm working on it. It's getting the customer in there. It's getting anybody who loves video games in there in general.
Yeah, and a lot of those people don't even know anything about the game or the company or whatever. They have to be sold. Like, they don't play games.
The casual gamer is going to be the ones that are going to be wanting to go to this expo. Especially, I would want to go because I'm like it's in California, so I'm definitely going to want to be there. So it's something. It's the highlight of the year for which a lot of people look forward to. I'm one of those people that I always look forward to E3 every year, more so than Christmas or any holiday that exists. So E3 is my 3-day holiday. I get to see what games are coming out, what new technologies for the platforms are coming out, if any new next gen consoles are coming out. But since it hasn't been open to the public before, I feel in the past years it's become more of a third party convention than direct content from the creators, because you're seeing more Ubisoft, more EA content, more Activision and other third parties, Infinity Ward and stuff like that. There's not so much direct Sony releases. Microsoft, Nintendo's has it on point, but they do the Treehouse 3 or 4 days, at most a week ahead of E3, so their presence is slowly dying out too.
They still have their games on the floor. They just don't actually show up, publicly on stage, which I think is fine, honestly.
The Treehouse does everything, yeah.
They might now. But yeah, it's definitely way more exciting for you because you're, local and that's fine. But yeah, I think it's really exciting, and also we've got some more Nintendo stuff later, but I just wanted to say real quick that I think it's really an interesting prospect for Nintendo because they had their Switch presentation, but this will be as far as I assume the first time they publicly talk about the Switch after release. So that's going to be a lot of their further out of into the life releases. The post-launch titles, things like that, and when they really can convince,
or maybe it'll just be Mario.
They'll have more. I know they saved some stuff.
I mean, last year they just did Zelda, so maybe.
Well, yeah, but last year the Wii U was dying, and basically all they said was, "We've got another system coming. Just give us time." We don't have much to show right now because we're transitioning, but just give us time. Now they're going to go.
What if every year they just do the one big game? So last year was Zelda, this year's Mario, next year is Metroid.
Quit trolling.
I'm not trolling.
Feels like you're trolling. But no, they're going to have some more to show. And what I was going to say is it really feels like a chance for them to kind of prove themselves to not only the investors and the public and everything that, have probably already bought the system and still need some justification for it, but to the third parties. Because one thing they announced that I didn't pull up news or anything for, it was just a small thing, was that they were really they have all their stuff as far as developing for Unity and Unreal locked down. They've got that really well integrated into the system, so it'd be really easy for a lot of developers to port their Unity or Unreal games over to the system. And so a lot of these games these days are developed on Unreal at least. And so I feel people just need to be convinced that the Switch is worth developing for. And then all it would take is just to, port the game over to the Switch. It's not that big a deal. But E3 is when they can kind of show to that public that they are forced to be reckoned with. And then, they're already around a lot of those third parties that could come in and be like, hey, we're creating this game. It's being made in Unreal. Let's see if we can get it on your system. So I think it's going to be a game changer for them if they do a good job of showing it off and have enough to show that get people hyped. It could also be the time when they get shut off from third party. We'll see. But I think Nintendo has the most to gain or lose from a fully public E3.
Yeah, I just want to circle back around to E3 being open to the public because that, like you said, E3 was the dream for guys like you and me. That was the place we wanted to go someday before we die, and now that it's open to the public, that's pretty cool.
It's pretty expensive.
It is pretty damn expensive, but I've gone to Comic-Con and that's about the same price. Yeah, but since it's going open to the public, it's going to probably take on that model that PAX does, Fan Expo here does. And I think it'll kind of lose that luster that guys like you and me liked from that, but they're changing with the model, they're changing with the times.
Yeah. And with how much exists on the internet now, they kind of have to. I mean, they could not survive on the model they were doing of just focusing on investors. Because again, investors exist on the internet too. They don't care about the games, they just care about their investment. So, I mean, what you're showing off is really just those stuffy businessmen looking into their numbers of how well is this going to sell, blah, blah, blah. That's the behind closed doors meetings they have during E3. That
And they'll still have those. Obviously.
Well, yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, like, that's not really the event. Like, people spend a lot of money on these E3 conferences, and then also have behind closed doors meetings with their investors. The two are kind of separate from each other. And since everything exists on the internet, and we all know everything as soon as it comes out, if not before, those big, like, conferences don't really mean as much as they used to. So you have to have something to kind of convince people to come in. And by opening it to the public and having those conferences open to the public, you know, the people that might have
Are
just
the
watched
conferences open to the public?
They said that they'd be available they'd be able to go on the show floor, and then they'd also have like panels and stuff for the public. So I assume some of the smaller things, not necessarily the huge show floor stuff, but I imagine they'd also have like big screens out in the main floor, you know, where people can kind of talk about can go by and like see the presentations up on the big screens and like talk about that with the people nearby and stuff like that. So I mean, there's still going to be like word of mouth and stuff, I assume.
Like the behind closed door stuff is the more industry stuff that I would like to see.
Yeah.
But I know that's not going to be the case.
But even then, a lot of the journalists and stuff have just been like sitting in their hotel rooms watching that stuff online, because if they actually go in and watch it, like, they get a terrible view and can barely, you know, hear or see anything. If they watch it online, they get the zoom in of the actual like trailer and stuff. So.
The best way to experience E3 is to not go to E3.
Right. So that's why the show floor and everything is most important, because that's the hands-on stuff.
Let's just quickly gloss over the Zelda screen caps, because I don't know, it's just a gallery of screen caps you put in here.
I didn't pull that one up. Yeah, it was just it's kind of hard to talk about that stuff necessarily, but some of the stuff I thought was cool. I don't actually have it pulled up right now. Was the first shot of Beetle. It was kind of a regular in the universe, but specifically in the Wind Waker type games. I know he's in Skyward Sword also, but I kind of like that has a very similar visual style and seems to kind of be like, you know, the first in the series, like canonically. So I kind of consider that along with the Wind Waker line. But anyway, Beetle is a, you know, normal recurring character in the series, but he's, like I said, he's mostly been in the Wind Waker line of like Wind Waker, Phantom Hourglass, and Spirit Tracks.
Yeah, he was the shopkeeper, right?
And a lot of people have been theorizing that this takes place like a century or two after Wind Waker, like after the world has been drained and they've found like their new Hyrule.
Oh, really?
Because like Phantom Hourglass is basically right after that. Like they're traveling on the boat, I think, to like find. I don't remember exactly. I didn't like that one much. But then Spirit Tracks is kind of like the new Hyrule that's been established. So like if that new Hyrule, which is a lot more industrialized with, you know, trains and stuff, if that kind of goes like has some big apocalyptic event, and then like, you know, Breath of the Wild takes place after that, that'd be kind of cool. But obviously it'd be a descendant of Beetle. He's not like immortal or anything. But I just think that's cool, like showing him off and his ridiculous like beetle shaped backpack. That was kind of the main point of interest. But some of the shots are really cool. Like I think there was a boss battle in there.
Yeah, there was a snow area, which is pretty cool. Shows like you're gonna have different environments, which is nice.
But in the Super Bowl trailer, they'd shown off one boss named like Mulgara or something like that. I don't remember exactly. And then this kind of showed off another boss. So like it's pretty clear that like the dungeons are still gonna have their normal like, you know, puzzle elements, item, which looks like those magic spells, and then boss to end it off. And I think that's really cool that they're not abandoning the base Zelda mechanics in favor of the open world stuff. It's still going to have its awesome big bosses to end out the dungeons on, because they hadn't shown that yet in like official releases or anything. What I find interesting is they just delayed the Animal Crossing game that was supposed to also be out by the end of March, along with like the, you know, Mario and Fire Emblem. And they originally said they were going to put out 5 mobile games by the end of March, and they've put out 3. So the 4th and 5th, I assume, are both delayed, and they said from then on they're basically going to try for 2 to 3 a year, which is respectable, because they had made that original announcement back in like September or something. They were going to put out 5 games by March. That's a pretty fast turnaround. So doing 2 to 3 a year really isn't that bad for them. But again, I don't want to speculate or anything about like what games they would be doing. But I do think it's really cool that they're doing like a mobile Animal Crossing that will actually tie in with like future Animal Crossing games, which makes me think they're going to announce a Switch version of the Animal Crossing, by the way. But the before we kind of get back to this, the other bit of news just briefly was that they're not making a new like 3DS right now, but they're still thinking about portable systems. And
I call it BS.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're really just trying to hedge their bets in case the Switch fails. But what I think would be cool is in the vein of the NES Classic having like kind of a portable classic system. So like something that plays, a selected number of like Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, like that line of games, and actually has a working cartridge port in it. Because I've still got a bunch of old like GBA and Game Boy games. I've still got an original Game Boy in my bedroom, with I think the original Mario Bros in it, like the portable one. But yeah, if they could have something with like a nice color screen, kind of like modern technology in there. Color screen, like no touchscreen or anything, and then just plays old games, like have that out as kind of a companion to the Switch, and then their mobile platform, and then the Switch. I think they'd be pretty set, because the Switch is, it's a hybrid. Like they've said, that they're combining their teams together to just do like Switch games as opposed to portable and console games. So that team is already pretty set on 2 to 3 mobile games a year. And then they just put out, this separate piece of hardware that's just like portable games that they're not making new ones of, that they could, maybe add to, like have it be a little bit more advanced than the NES Classic and actually have it able to like download games. So that's kind of like their portable, like virtual console.
So like just basically like a shell that looks like an old Game Boy where you could play Game Boy Color games and stuff like that.
And they can like release, like just release a back catalog onto. Because some people are complaining about the portability of the Switch, and I think it would be nice to have something that's just very much like Game Boy sized, like the SP basically, because the Game Boy SP was kind of the perfect little system. Just have that, it folds up, clamshell, and everything, but also plays like old Game Boy and Game Boy Color games as well as Game Boy Advance.
Incredibly long battery life.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, so people that complain about taking the Switch on the go could have this that's just the old games, and if they want to take the Switch, they can. But then they've kind of got their 3 pillars that they've said they want.
Oh.
They're like the strictly portable, that's not new games.
Classic Nintendo.
Yeah. The Switch, which is all their new games. And then mobile, which is the kind of their, specialized experiences that are just for the phone or tablet.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a really cool business model. Specifically on the mobile side of things, I think I'm really excited for what the Animal Crossing game would be. Assuming it's an actual Animal Crossing game and not some like they did kind of an endless runner. They did like a gachapon game. They did a skin of Ingress. Like literally, it's just a skin of Ingress. I really want to see something that's more Nintendo, like more unique.
I think Animal Crossing fits perfectly into a phone model.
Mm-hmm.
It's got the whole collection aspect to it and building up your resources and then paying them off.
Yeah, I just don't want to see it as some kind of like city builder or something like that. Some other kind of shell of a game with Animal Crossing thrown on.
Oh man, don't say that. Why do you have to break my heart? It's gonna be like SimCity mobile version for Animal Crossing.
No. But I'm not really sure what else they could do after that. Like, as far as the properties are concerned, I try to think of like, the other things that they do well. And put those in kind of a mobile headspace.
They can make Star Fox with the mobile or the gyro.
Oh, that could be cool, actually.
What do you call it? A gyroscope? Is that what it's called?
Like a Star Fox game that's playable in VR, maybe. Like cool. You could do it like side. It would be widescreen probably, and you like tilt your phone to control. It's like first person, or you could like toggle on VR mode and like put it into one of the mobile headsets, like my Google Daydream or like the Gear VR or something.
Yeah, because when you think about it, the first thing that got everyone talking about VR was Eve, right? And how everyone was like doing the dog fighting in Eve. So I think if they do something with Star Fox, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I could definitely see a Star Fox mobile game as one of the next ones coming up. But yeah, kind of their big ones, like they already did Mario, but I don't really see Zelda working. I don't see like maybe Yoshi, like a Yoshi puzzle game again.
Yoshi Cookie 2?
Yeah, something like that. Like I could see just kind of like their Puzzle and Dragons Mario edition, like that being either ported over or doing another game kind of like that. I'd love to see a new Tetris Attack. That'd be awesome.
So since we covered those two topics, let's get right into the heart of PC gaming. It's the PC gaming corner with Lo. All right,
That's me.
All right, Lo, tell us what you got here for us today.
So, Valve, they are changing up the way they're doing Steam Greenlight. I found this article pretty interesting. They're calling it Steam Direct. So basically they're just kind of just simplifying the process. I mean, I guess you still have to pay like an application fee, but there's not like there's less of, I guess, sort of like a sort of scrutinization process or a judging process involved in it. So more developers can get their games onto Steam quicker. So I was thinking about this just yesterday, and I see this as being a good thing. But I can also see this as being a bad thing because, you know, you're making Steam a little bit more of an open platform, an open market. So that's just kind of opening the doors for a lot of really great content, obviously, but it's also kind of opening the door for a lot of really garbage content. But
like 1,000 visual novels that are already on Steam.
Exactly. But, you know, between, you know, they've made other changes too, as far as Steam in, you know, over the last several years, you know, between the review system and the refund system. So, I mean, that protects the consumers in a way. So really, I mean, if you know, find a game, you think it looks cool, it ends up being crap. Really, at the end of the day, all you really have wasted was some time. But, you know,
most valuable resource.
Some of us, yeah, exactly. Time is really valuable. Some of us only have a certain amount of hours to allot to gaming.
To live.
You know, those of us. Yeah, exactly. So,
this got dark.
Yeah, I just... this is going to turn into like an existential podcast.
We're all just ticking time bombs. Really.
When you think about it.
But yeah, I can see this. It could either kind of launch Steam forward, as far as sort of, because I've just been kind of, ever since I started PC gaming, I've always been kind of gravitating more towards like indie games and free to play games or free to play indie games, stuff like that. And I always kind of felt like it was kind of the next sort of natural progression for gaming. They just kind of had to figure out the right way to do it to where it works out for both, obviously, the publishers, the developers, and as well as the consumers, us, the gamers, the people who are spending our time and money on these products. So again, it's just kind of like a big question mark, I guess. So I'm really interested to see where it goes. I'm hoping that this doesn't mean that we're going to be seeing more like bad games, quote unquote. But, you know, I'm the way I see it, I think Steam is kind of becoming more of like a Game Jolt or like an itch.io type of scenario. But again, we'll just have to see where it goes.
Well, one thing in that article I found kind of interesting to counteract that is they said that, you know, the upload process for people is like to basically fill out a form with their tax information and all that, you know, good business minded stuff. And then there's also I think it said a refundable deposit that you have to put down to kind of weed out the people that aren't serious or just putting up joke games.
Yeah.
So right. Like you get that back. Let's see here. It says, this is from PCGamer.com for the record. It says, once set up, developers will pay a recoupable application fee for each new title they wish to distribute, intended to decrease the noise in the submission pipeline. Part of the goal is to discourage the submission of greenlight projects that are submitted in bad faith, such as joke projects or projects comprised of stolen assets. The amount of the publishing fee hasn't been finalized yet. Developers Valve has spoken to have suggested amounts ranging from 100 to 5,000 per game. So that seems like one of those things that could, you know, weed out a lot of those, like, not crappy, sorry, but, like, you know, low-made, like, basically, you know, steal all their assets and just, like, put something together because they have an idea but have no actual, like, ability to make it outside of, like, RPG Maker.
Yeah, I would say this is something that counteracts what you were saying earlier, was that they're putting this in place because of all the bad games that have come out on Steam recently. Right. Like, for example, Bloody Boobs that came out.
What?
Bloody boobs. You don't know about bloody boobs?
I don't even want to know. I don't even want to know.
Interesting title. I don't want to know what the premise of the game is, but it's an interesting title.
Yeah, but there's just like a ton of really terrible games that have stolen assets, like the article says, and are just cobbled together and don't amount to anything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Bloody Boobs sounds like Game of the Year material to me, but, to each their own.
You have to cover it for the site. I'm putting you boys on it.
Oh, goodness.
I'll get all over those Bloody Boobs.
1, 2, 3, not it.
As a resident PC gamer.
Yeah, that's on you.
Oh, fine. Coming soon.
Yeah, and what I also find funny, kind of, moving on from that,
all right,
is what seems like a direct jab to Steamlight Direct is itch.io Direct.
Right.
I just now realized, like, having them up side by side, that they're exactly the same name. And announced, like, within a day of each other, I think.
but itch.io, you can make an account there for free, from what I understand. So you don't have to pay a fee at all. You can just start up your own page on itch.io.
It says upload directly, no applications or approval necessary, sell directly, just add a PayPal or Stripe account, run a community, design your product page, use a widget, distribute with sales, bundles, promotions, and more. So basically you just create an account, make your game available. You can set a price for it, which I assume there's probably restrictions for that. If you just want it available for free, it's probably like whatever, just put it up. But I imagine if you want to sell something for it, there's probably some copyright issues and stuff like that. I don't really know how that works, but
That'll probably be a different whole thing that you have to deal with them, kind of like what Valve does.
yeah, because I'm sure they take a cut of it and stuff too. I mean, that's how that all works. But I think that's kind of like being put out because Steam is making their guidelines a little more strict and like developer focused. itch.io is kind of like, well, if you can't get into Steam, come over here. We don't care what you do.
Yeah, I think it's a good way to
Give us all the bloody boobs.
Exactly. It's a good way. It's a good way to get people to come over for sure. If you're just just starting development and you're making your own games and you just want to put them out there for free, get your name out there. It's a great place to go.
Yeah, and plus the fact that you can still sell there still makes it kind of direct competition to Steam, which I find really cool because I mean, obviously competition, like helps like developers,
markets.
Consumers, everything. But also it just means that, Steam really does have to step up their game because itch.io is putting out a very similar thing here, but with less strict guidelines. So I could see some people choosing that over Steam, even though, obviously Steam is a little bit more readily available and more people know about it, but
Yeah, it's more of a developer move.
Still.
With Steam, it was getting really bad with all those free games, like all those games that were coming out, and they had to respond to that. So I think both of these companies are serving something different.
And I mean, it could put itch.io back in a better spotlight because if you look at Skype and Discord, for example, like Skype was the thing to use, and now like Discord kind of came out of nowhere, and a lot of people are still like, what's Dixord? Like they have no idea what it is. But once they start using it, like it's a lot more user friendly. It gives you a lot more options and everything. Yeah. Like it's basically become the go-to thing, especially for people like us. I mean, like all of our communication for the site pretty much is on Discord, and like Skype has kind of become like the the like forgotten older sibling that like businesses still use. Like the Link software is still really popular for corporations, but personal Skype isn't really what it used to be. And I think that's kind of a sign of the times of like, Steam is still this major player, but if these other services like itch.io kind of like make themselves known and put out a service that people want in a more efficient like more user friendly way, they could possibly topple Steam. It would take a long time, but
it's very possible.
There's a couple, there's a few good storefronts for PC games. Like GOG.com is good for retro stuff. Green Man Gaming is pretty good. They have some good sales. G2A is really sketchy.
Yeah,
G2A is
it's like a gray market.
Yeah, very gray.
But they do have sales on every now and then.
If there's something drastically different, like if something's like $30 on Steam and I can find a key for like $2 on G2A, it's like, okay, if this is bad, like I've lost.
I haven't used G2A for a very long time, just because I feel like it's a very sketchy European market. Russian, maybe.
It's like eBay compared to Amazon.
Yeah, good call.
Yeah, it's like Craigslist compared to
Craigslist.
Yeah, that's more apt.
That's a
more
better
comparison.
description.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess they're going back to their quote unquote roots after, because I guess I never played Infinite Warfare, but I heard from YouTube that the trailer, just the initial trailer, the announcement trailer for it was just not well received at all. It was some ridiculous amount of dislikes or something like that, and just nobody was into the whole space kind of theme. So
Yeah, at one point it was the most hated video on YouTube.
oh wow, that's an accolade. Achievement unlocked.
So what I've heard with that game, I haven't played it yet. I usually play all the Call of Duties. I'll get around to it. But the campaign for Infinite Warfare was regarded as pretty well made. So it's not all that surprising though to see them go back after Battlefield 1 was incredibly popular. Even though they had a really short campaign, I didn't feel like it lived up to the hype that it was showing.
And terrible marketing. But that's beside the point.
Yeah, but I'm excited to see them go back to their roots and go back to World War II.
Yeah, the last one I played, like I've never been into the Call of Duty series, but I think the only one actually that I played was it Call of Duty 4, I think, on the Wii.
On the Wii? Are you kidding?
Yeah, that was on the Wii. It was definitely on the Wii. Was it any good? Like I'm
graphically it was just
okay.
okay. Like you could tell that it was basically like the PS3 Xbox version, but kind of toned down. But I really like the motion controls actually. Like that worked really well for it. But
yeah,
I think that was like World War II version or something. I don't know. But like the period stuff was really cool about it, and I feel like they've kind of forgotten that. Like with all their modern stuff, like they're trying to make it into Tom Clancy. But like the Ghost Recon series and stuff, like they do really well. Call of Duty doesn't need to tap into
Call of Duty Ghost did really bad.
Yeah.
it was like the worst game of them.
Exactly. So I think it'll be smart for them to kind of like take a break, go back in history and like do something cool with that. Even like an alternate history type thing, like Wolfenstein would be cool.
Yeah.
That's why they're on that 3-year cycle now, right?
Yeah, they said that this new one has been in development for 2 years, and they're really excited to show off to people what they've been working on.
That was the best thing that they could have done, was put in another
Absolutely.
developer and make it a 3-year cycle for each one.
But it also means different developers every third game or whatever. And so I feel like the varying levels of quality are because like one developer is better than the other. So
That's
like,
always
if you don't
been
like
the
one of the
case.
games, just wait for the next year, and then like it'll be back to the developer you like.
That's always been the case, though. They've had that with World at War, with Treyarch, and then when
World at War,
Infinity
that was
Ward,
the one that I played.
when Infinity Ward went to shit, though, you could really see that with I think it was Ghost that did it. I can't remember. I can't keep this all in my head anymore.
Yeah, there's too many.
Yeah, they got playability, but they just push them out every year. So hey, it's 2018. Another Call of Duty's coming out.
Yeah, they're becoming like the Madden of first-person shooters.
Exactly. It's so predictable. There's two things to expect every year now. There's a sports game coming out, and then there's Call of Duty.
Yeah, there's like when they did switch over to the different developers, people did get that way. Like people were like, "No, I'm a Modern Warfare guy. No, I'm a Black Ops guy." Like you really see that in the community there.
And that's why they were just like alternating those every 3 years. Like,
Yep.
They'd put out Modern Warfare, and then like the next, I think Black Ops, and like the next there's a few Ghosts, I think.
There was Ghost,
And then,
but then they could quickly shut that down.
Okay, and then like back to Modern Warfare, back to Black Ops, like just on a 3-year cycle.
Yeah. So maybe they'll have Modern Warfare, Black Ops, and then Roots, the World War II stuff. All right, moving on. The last piece of news that we have today is that South Park, The Fractured But Whole, has been delayed.
I love that play on words. I appreciate that.
Everyone does.
I love that title.
I just got it.
Really? Are you serious?
I never paid attention.
That's awesome.
The fractured butthole.
That's awesome.
Okay. That's
You have to see it
amazing.
written out. Like once you see it written out, it's like.
But even then,
oh,
the spelling
I see what
has
they're
the two
doing.
T's for
Well, no,
butt,
it was you
right?
saying that it's a play on words. Like I always took it as the fractured but whole. Like
I can't believe they got one over on the Pun Master.
I know. I'm embarrassed. You can cut
Achievement
this if you want,
locked.
it's fine. But no, I don't think this
Achievement
really
locked.
surprises anyone. Like, it was supposed to be out
Pun the Pun
like,
Master.
next month. But we hadn't really heard anything about it for a while, and they'd already delayed
Yeah.
it once. So,
It's not all that surprising to me.
yeah.
Because the last game took forever. There was a lot of complications.
I heard that was
behind
pretty
it.
good though. Stick of
Mhm.
Truth. Is that what?
Oh yeah, it was great.
It was like actually being in an episode of South Park, from what I get.
Oh yeah.
I just think it's karma. Obsidian, like actually the people that made Fallout New Vegas and the original Fallout games, made Stick of Truth,
Oh.
and they were not brought on for the sequel. Like, no idea why. They had a good relationship. Like, they made a really good game, but who was this? Ubisoft.
Yeah, Ubisoft.
Yeah.
Yes.
They decided to develop it in house with in collaboration with a second party studio or
goodness.
something like that. And that's actually like what they blamed. They were like, yeah, we're working on it in house with another studio, and so that's been complicating things. And it's like, you should have just let Obsidian make it. Like,
if you remember, the first game was with THQ at the time when they were still
Yeah.
a thing,
but then they died.
and
And so
then
Obsidian got
Ubisoft
the
bought
rights.
the rights for
That's
to
what I meant,
publish. So maybe Ubisoft and Obsidian couldn't fracture a deal.
Well, actually, I was listening to an interview with. I like your pun. I was listening to an interview with like the one of the head guys of Obsidian, and he said that like they didn't even ask them, which kind of hurt him. Like, he said they couldn't have worked on it because they're
Wow.
doing something new. It was like they're doing Pillars of Eternity 2,
Yeah.
but they were doing something else at the time, and so they wouldn't have been able to work on it. But like, it still hurt them that they weren't even asked. Like, they would have liked to have been,
very
an option.
strange.
Like, they could have possibly worked something out to do everything that they wanted to do,
Mm-hmm.
but Ubisoft didn't even go to them.
Interesting.
And so I find that
Very
weird. And then now it's having all these production issues, and it's like, I have no sympathy for
I
you.
feel like Ubisoft.
Yeah, Ubisoft.
I mean, Ubisoft. I mean, like what? I mean, what can we really say other than Ubisoft?
No,
Yeah.
Ubisoft.
like
They're the GameStop of game developers.
yeah, more or less. Yeah, exactly. Ubisoft and then shrug.
That's all
a
we
little.
can say. Ubisoft over and over again. Nah, but Ubisoft taking the helm of this solo with their in-house buddy, so to speak, I think it's a recipe for disaster for this game. I don't think it's going to sell as much with Stick of Truth, even though if you pre-order it now, it does come with a copy of the Stick of Truth.
So let me ask you guys this: do you guys still watch South Park?
No.
Have you watched in the past 3 years?
Like
Yes.
reruns.
Random episodes, yes.
New episodes,
no,
I mean.
not new
Yes.
episodes.
Like, I watched the one after the election, because, like, with the Obama one, they basically had like a what was it, an 8-hour turnaround or something like that,
Yeah.
and they made it all work, and I kind of wanted to see what they did with this one. So I watched that, which I thought it was funny how, like, they had basically made the episode assuming that Hillary was going to win, and then had to rewrite it when she didn't. Like, they made the whole thing, and just had to, like, kind of add in new scenes and, like, rework the story.
Wow, that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, but like with the Obama one, it didn't actually have much to do with him. It was like they put his speech in at the beginning, and then kind of just went on with like business as usual for the rest of the episode. So like, it wasn't that much of a turnaround. But this one, they had to basically rewrite half the episode. I thought that was funny. But no, I don't watch it regularly.
Yeah, the thing with the first game, Stick of Truth, is that it played off all the old episodes. So, like, it played off your nostalgia for South Park.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't watched South Park since maybe my first or second year of college for you guys. Sorry, I have to convert my Canadianism into Americanism sometimes.
We have universities. They're different things. College and university are two different things. It's like, it's a tier. Like, universities are like the accredited, like higher up. And then like college is like usually the 2-year like tech schools and stuff. So just so you know.
Yeah, so the first game plays off all that nostalgia with the first few seasons, and it was amazing when you got to Canada, and it was exactly like Canada in the show. The Kingdom of Canada, that was great. So with the new game, I think they're probably going to do all the new stuff that they've done. but I don't have the affinity for that kind of stuff, so it might not hit me the same way. I'm interested to see if this game comes out and if it's going to be any good, considering all the difficulties that they've been having, apparently.
They're fractured, but a whole lot of difficulties.
They've done it with the first game, so maybe they could do it with the second.
The first game, I mean, it had its issues as far as, like, the developer going out of
Business.
going bankrupt.
Yeah.
But, like, the actual, like, production of the game wasn't that tumultuous. I mean, this one, like, it's been with the same studio the entire time. Like, there's been no, actual, like, business side of thing issues. But they're still struggling to get it made. I feel like that's a lot worse.
What if it was supposed to come out last year? Maybe they're just holding on to it.
Yeah.
For holiday.
Which, to be fair, they could just be delaying it because they're seeing so much, like, announced for March. They just don't want to release then. And, I mean, maybe it's done.
Yeah, it was supposed to come out in December last year.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it'll come out in the summer when there's nothing to play.
Yeah, exactly. Because, I mean, Ubisoft's doing fine money-wise. It's not like they need to get another game out before their fiscal quarter. Or fiscal year ends. But they might just not want to compete with all that stuff.
They have For Honor coming out soon,
yes.
I think.
And Horizon Zero Dawn, isn't that them?
Horizon Zero Dawn, I thought that was
No,
Sony.
it's not.
That's Sony. That game looks
Yeah,
cool.
it is. Well, everyone's calling it a Far Cry game. Like, it's basically Far Cry.
It is.
So I keep thinking it's Ubisoft.
It looks like Far Cry anyways.
Oh, I was just going to say that they did... I forgot to pull up the news article for this, but they did announce that the FIFA game going to Switch is FIFA 18, which I personally think is pretty substantial because, for one, it means that it's getting, like, the new numbered game in the series. It could possibly be a watered-down version, but it's not like they're making a special FIFA game for Switch. It's like it's the same one that the other consoles are going to be getting, theoretically. But, as dumb as it sounds, FIFA is a game changer. Because, like, me personally, like, my old school, my old university, that I went to had a major, Nepal, population.
Okay.
And they were big soccer players. And, like, they would get, they would come in, like, I worked at Walmart. They would come into Walmart and, like, buy every new FIFA game and, like, all the different soccer offshoots and all this stuff.
PES.
And then, like, I moved down here and, like, I was, working inside Best Buy, for Samsung. But, they would do the same thing there. Like, it was a lot of, like, Nepal, like, Bosnians, like, a bunch of the, those people that would come in and get every new soccer game and stuff like that. And, like, that makes a major difference to them. So, like, it's basically a whole audience of people that, they could basically get that version on the Switch and, like, get together. Like, they're usually, like, in packs. Like, I'm not trying to be racist or anything. Like, literally, like, they travel. Like, they're very niche groups. Because a lot of them don't really want to speak English either. So, like, they travel together. Like, that's just how it is. And so, like, they could realistically get, like, these games on the Switch and, like, gather up together and, like, play, on their own screens, multiplayer. Like, so that's a pretty big game.
Kind of like how they show in the Switch commercials.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's the kind of community that they could be selling these, kind of, like, non-Nintendo games to. So that could be a major boost to their sports market, at least. Like, that concept of portable gaming with the sports games for those communities that really care about those games.
Yeah, sports games are huge in gaming. Especially, the biggest sellers are FIFA and I think Madden are the two biggest ones. Mm-hmm. You don't really hear too much from NHL. You don't really hear too much from basketball.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, like, a lot of people were worried, they announced, like, a FIFA game was coming, but it just said FIFA. Like, they had, NBA 2K18, I think they actually announced, but then the FIFA one just said FIFA. And so everyone's like, oh, it's not going to be the actual version. It's going to be like a one-off type. And
that's what they used to do
so
on the Wii.
I think it gives some hope.
On the Wii, they had stuff like that, where it was Madden.
Yeah, exactly.
Something. I don't know what it was called. Mm-hmm. But it was some weird Wii version of it.
Right. They wanted to separate it out. So it seems like they're at least giving some faith with that. And it could mean, some better support there and a bigger market for games like that.
All right, that's going to be it, everyone. Thank you all for coming on out to the Charge Shot Gamescast, the technical difficulties episode.
You have no idea.
Oh my god.
Assuming Thomas edits this well, you have no idea.
All right, so thank you, Justin. Where can we find you?
All the places as Zero Score. Mostly Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, that good stuff. I just did some rebranding.
Yeah, new header looks good.
I look cool. Go find me.
Low?
Twitch and YouTube. Twitch. I keep saying Twitch every single time I say Twitch, but I mean Twitter. Dang it!
You should probably go on
yeah,
Twitch.
probably. It's just I don't.
Just so you
I don't
can be
stream.
right about that.
Just so you're not a liar.
I mean, I have a Twitch, but like I don't ever like stream. Like maybe I should stream me playing cards or something sometime. Anyways,
There you go.
Twitter and YouTube. Twitter is at Nero the Hero. Same with YouTube. You can also find me here.
All right, Ray, what's up? How do we find you?
You can find me on YouTube and Twitch at Fishing for Cookie. You can find me at Instagram, Twitter as Fishing for Pixels.
Awesome. And as always, you can find us here at chartshot.com. And you can find your host, Thomas, that is me, of course, at Tainted Cane. Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. Thank you all for coming out, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.